It really is an interesting time in the gaming industry at the moment, and the future has presented itself through dual perspectives which demonstrate corporate financial challenges and greed, and next to that is artistic achievements. Microsoft has caused widespread concern after implementing broad price hikes through its Xbox market, including console system and gaming equipment, which raises doubts about gaming accessibility because of rising corporate costs. Now, this, of course, is not to excuse Sony that recently did this with their PlayStation systems, and infamously the way Nintendo went about advertising their Switch 2 prices. That was a whole kerfuffle in and of itself. But then on the other hand, we have a revolutionary turn-based RPG entry from a French studio called Sandfall Interactive named Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which has managed to sell more than 1 million copies within 3 days and gain praise from critics and players alike for its engaging design. And now we find ourselves looking at the success of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and the changes that Xbox and all of these major parties have made to the pricings of their gaming systems and games themselves. And with the release of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 alongside the shadow drop of Oblivion Remaster, and one of the main similarities between these two games, which released in the same week, is their price point being noticeably lower than this new standard that we're about to find ourselves in. Late last week, Microsoft reported that they are raising the prices of their Xbox ecosystem, indicating major gaming business change that centers around profit maximization during economic hardships. So as long as it's hard for us, but not hard for them, it's okay for them to raise their prices, apparently. Now, Microsoft will also implement significant increases for both the Xbox Series X to $499, let's just say $500 here, and the Series S, which will now be starting at $300 USD, that is. They cite such things as the market forces of inflation and supply chain issues together with increasing production costs have led Microsoft to raise Xbox prices. However, these rate increases specifically affect gamers who are facing their own financial hardships. Let's remember that gaming is a hobby for 99% of people, okay? The Microsoft Xbox S functions as an inexpensive gateway to Xbox consoles by meeting their needs of recreational players and family consumers through digital distribution of Game Pass support, which is what it's all about here at the end of the day. And these price increases do have the potential to threaten to block out customers with limited budgets from acquiring the system, thus diminishing the Xbox brand's current market appeal. Both controller devices and gaming peripherals relevant to Xbox's performance have also seen prices increase. The standard Xbox wireless controller is now being priced at $60 USD, alongside other accessories will become more expensive together with headsets and charging solutions and accessory kits. Multiplayer households and competitive gamers are now facing accelerating expenses because the need to frequently buy new controllers or provide additional equipment to each player under specific circumstances. A major point of argument amongst gamers is the price hike of video games because the new Xbox releases will come at $80 instead of the standard, quote, standard $70 USD. So things like the upcoming 2025 Call of Duty and Gears of War EA, they're probably all going to be $80 USD going forward. And other publishers will now have to follow suit. And of course, we got to go look at Nintendo and what they're doing over there. And I think it's not too far-fetched to say that it's very likely that the recently delayed GTA 6 will be shipping at a $100 USD. And they'll probably fucking get away with it too. Modern AAA games such as Starfield and Halo Infinite demanded hundreds of millions from developers to produce their advances in graphics alongside with these massive open worlds and extensive online functionality. Analysis from Insider Gaming finds that publishers defend price increases because of their need to recover huge financial outlays which now span 5-year game development periods. The current pricing strategy threatens to eliminate casual gamers from the market because most casual gamers simply cannot justify an $80 USD on a new game, alongside the rising cost of consoles and accessories. The total price of the new Xbox Series X with 2 controllers and a single game will now exceed $750. But why are they doing this? Well, that's because the core of Microsoft's business plan demands on its subscription service to Xbox Game Pass that presents an economical solution through its monthly fee structure, which provides access to hundreds of games. Game Pass delivers significant value, but does not cover everything because Ubisoft and EA, among other third-party game developers, delay releasing their AAA titles to the service, which requires a full separate price purchase from subscribers. And this altered Game Pass structure featuring different price levels has drawn its own share of criticism as well. And yet, the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft strengthens its content creations while Call of Duty joins Game Pass, but the long-term affordability of Game Pass to the casual gamer does face uncertainties. And then with everyone raising their price, market competition creates an additional level of difficulty for business operations. The PlayStation 5 from Sony experienced growth significantly in Japan and continues to enjoy dedication from customers through its exclusives, including God of War and Horizon. And really quickly on the subject of PlayStation exclusives, they all end up on PC, or the vast majority of them. I mean, we're starting to get close to the release of Stellar Blade on PC, and I think it's a safe bet that that game's going to do pretty well over on PC. And again, a lot of what I'm saying is not specifically just relegated to Microsoft. We can apply so much of this to Sony and Nintendo. But for the sake of keeping it simple, we're just going to focus on Microsoft right here. Microsoft will need to demonstrate the value in its own ecosystem by producing good quality games, while enhancing cloud gaming capabilities and adding new titles to Game Pass. Failure to do so will force its existing gaming community to seek alternatives. But then on the flip side of this, we have Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which stands as a testament to the power of creative vision and cultural resonance. A team of 30 developers at Sample Interactive created Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The game launched in late April 2025 and became available on the Xbox, PlayStation, and PC platforms to reach remarkable commercial success. The video game has sold more than 1 million copies within 3 days and achieved a Metacritic score of 92 and user rating of 9.7, which made it the highest rated game of 2025, so far at least. The remarkable success of Expedition 33 even prompted the French president, I can't pronounce his name, to announce his praise through Instagram with a message that highlighted French audacity and creativity in the game. Expedition 33 establishes itself through its dark fantasy world design, while also emulating parts of France as well, to tell a story about expeditioners who confront the Paintress, who removes people through her yearly painting numbers. The game's unique aesthetic combines with a distorted Eiffel Tower and French-based characters and visual paint stroke effects to create a specific French touch that has charmed players worldwide. The game combines Persona and Final Fantasy combat mechanics into its turn-based real-time system. And just really quick, I really want to touch on this. This game is not a JRPG. I mean, technically it's a FRPG. I've been having this argument a few times on streams, all in good fun, of course, but if it's not made in Japan, it's not really a JRPG, is it? It's like, are we just going to forget what the J stands for in JRPG? Inspired by JRPGs? Absolutely. JRPG? No. Fantastic game? Yes. Should you be playing it? Yes. But anyway, Expedition 33's popularity wields new power in the ongoing discussion about gameplay patterns that show animation in replacing traditional turn-based mechanics. And while I am no fan of this particular outlet, Games Radar actually had a pretty decent write-up for once, talking about how Expedition 33 took criticism of action combat systems from games like Square Enix's Final Fantasy XVI. The analysis indicated that Square Enix faces potential regret for not delivering traditional JRPGs because of a clear, very clear public demand for this genre. The 20 to 30 hour structure of Expedition 33 presents a AA game style that leads way for successful titles capable of uniting ambitious gameplay content with approachable features. Over on Steam, you can purchase Expedition 33 for $50 USD, same with the Oblivion remaster, which is a noticeable lower price than the usual $70, soon to be $80 games. We should also note that the game did launch day one over on Xbox Game Pass, but then that kind of ties back into what we're talking about with Game Pass earlier, doesn't it? With it needs to supply some type of value. But if they're going to be jacking up prices too much, and not every game is on the same level of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 now, is it? There's also been confirmation that we can expect to get a movie based on this video game, and that was announced within a week of the game's release. And while I personally find that absolutely stupid, we do have to keep in mind that there's been talks about this since long before the game actually came out. Is that a good sign or a bad sign? I think that says more about the movie industry in all honesty, and it's probably a bad sign. I am still yet to be convinced that we're in an era of good video game adaptations. Yeah, one or two here and there doesn't far from erodes everything and all the crap we've gotten, such as the Halo TV show. However, through Clair Obscur Expedition 33, players find an immersive narrative-based experience which defines the grind-monitored and microtransaction-filled games found in mainstream AAA and, well, quadruple A gaming, thus demonstrating the appealing stories can draw audiences, and that this genre does have a hungry audience out there that is ready to be fed. And with the game's launch on April 22nd, only 2 days after the shadow drop of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster, the success of Expedition 33 stands out even more, with over 1 million sales in 3 days and peaking at just under 130,000 players on Steam. We cannot deny the success of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, again launching 2 days after the shadow drop of Oblivion, which pulled pretty good numbers itself, again being at that $50 USD price tag, which was also available on Game Pass on its launch day. And I think everyone kind of predicted that Oblivion would completely outshine a new IP like Expedition 33. However, in a recent interview on Game Business, Kelper's senior portfolio director, Matt Hardhand, said it resulted in more like a Barbenheimer-like marketing situation, which only led to the increase of Clair Obscur Expedition 33's success. Although they both belong to the RPG genre, Oblivion delivers a more extensive open-world exploration together with real-time combat throughout hundreds of hours of gameplay, which satisfies players looking for adventures and more of an old-ish school-type experience, whereas Expedition 33 offers a more structured narrative alongside more turn-based style with, again, some JRPG-inspired visuals, which appeals to players seeking a more cinematic story-based gaming experience. And in the same interview, he also did go on to talk about mutual beneficial relationship between Western and JRPGs. And we did get some pretty interesting numbers with publishing data indicating that 35% of Xbox players on Expedition 33 already played Oblivion, compared to the 22% on Steam and 16% on PS5. Xbox users took advantage of Game Pass to play with both games because the platform created a stronger crossover point, which shows growing interest in RPG players among the community. And what else does it show? Xbox's strategy is all about cloud-based and Game Pass. That's why a lot of these prices are going up. We are seeing the numbers happen in real time. Now, while Microsoft claims that the economic difficulties of running an expensive game development framework have pushed them to increase their prices to match the rising cost of AAA and quadruple A games, along with widespread inflation affecting game publishers and their user base, they still had no problem jacking up the prices for new games and new consoles and new accessories. And we really do need to say this part here. We are 5 years into this console generation. Prices should be going down, not up. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but as far back as I can remember, this is the first time it's actually happened. Sony's had 2 price increases. I believe Xbox has had 1, I might be wrong on that. And then, of course, like I said at the start of the video, the infamous, it will go down as infamous, Switch 2 price reveal with $80 Mario Kart games. Like, come on, man. What are we doing over here? It's so clear that Microsoft's endgame is to get out of hardware and to go into software and subscription-based gaming services. And when you have games like Clair Expedition 33, which is a fantastic game, they put that day one on Game Pass to help make it sound more enticing. You can spend $100 USD to get Oblivion and Clair Expedition 33, or you could sign up for Game Pass and get both of them day one. Or in a few months, you could wait till the next Call of Duty game comes out, which is probably going to be a broken dumpster fire in itself, and spend $80 USD to get access to this game. When you start putting it in perspective like that to the everyday family out there that's, mum, dad, kids, Game Pass does seem like the logical option there, which is what Microsoft is banking on. However, the increasing price of their remaining hardware is going to make that hard to justify. If you're someone that's really going to try and get into gaming, or you are into gaming, PC is the best thing you can possibly do. Yes, it might have one of the more expensive points of entry, but once you get into that entry point, you're kind of set and you can just upgrade as you go. This is the first PC I've ever owned. I went from consoles all the way up to PS4, including some Xboxes, and then got a PC, and I just have not looked back since. With the increasing costs of all these consoles, the whole argument about PC being the more expensive option starting to lose some validity, isn't it? And whoever it may be, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, always trying to blame the economy and whatever it may be, they don't take into effect about how that same economy is affecting their customers. It's all about working together to get more money out of you, the consumer. Gone are the days when they'd be competing with each other. Instead, it seems like they're more working together to try to nickel-dime you as much as they possibly can. And while this does sound incredibly bleak, we do have to remember that there are some good games out there. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 being the most obvious example in this video. And while they're all trying to push you towards their subscription service, what I think they're misunderstanding here is, if anything, this is going to make people become more retro gaming and force people to focus more on their backlog of games. God knows my backlog, it just seems to get longer every fucking month, but that's what happens when games like Clair Obscur come out and they just completely jump to the front of the queue. And let's be honest, I'm going to question for everyone watching this right now. If you were right now to stop buying new games, just hard stop, based on what you currently own, what you're currently playing, and what you currently haven't played that you own, is it safe to say that you'd be set for quite a while? See, that's going to be the thing that these companies are going to have to realize at some stage. Look, the AAA or quadruple A bubble is definitely bursting. We've seen it happen in real time. We've seen record number of layoffs. So you can point to the economy, you can point to anything. At the end of the day, these are decisions that are being made based off poor prior decisions. There's still shit in the pipe that has to come out, but after all the shit comes the clean water. We've seen crashes before, and we'll probably see them again.